Hey everyone, this is Gennady Kravoy with Remax Little Oak and the Zard & Associates Marketing Group. I'm here today to share another message to help you home buyers and homeowners to be healthier in your homes. We started off the series by talking about the air quality in your homes. Now we're going to shift to talk about water quality. In science, engineers and ecologists sometimes describe Earth as having a hydrological system. You know that process about water when it falls onto the mountains, runs into the rivers, empties into the ocean, and then goes back up into the clouds again. Well, homes also have their own hydrological system. From a health perspective, it is important to consider how water and moisture comes in and out of our homes. As realtors, we have duties to investigate and discuss health, environments, and concerns with our clients. When it comes to water, the two biggest health concerns tend to be, number one, lead leaching into the plumbing systems, which I'll talk about today, and number two, mold caused by moisture, which I will discuss in my next video. So let's be honest, many, perhaps most Canadians tend to take plumbing for granted. I mean, imagine, we can literally go into any kitchen in almost any home in this country and turn on the tap, and almost every single time, water will just come pouring out, and even at the temperature that we want. But what's really going on behind the scenes? Well, here's what you need to know as it relates to health. The BC Plumbing Code is very specific about acceptable limits around plumbing and piping. However, piping systems still break down over time, mainly due to corrosion. Corrosion is a natural process for metals as they react with air, water, bacteria, and chemicals, and then they become oxidized. This is very much like an apple getting brown when you cut it open and leave it out on the table and it begins to decay. The main problem with our pipes is that most of them, up until 1980, were made with lead and lead parts. When these pipes corrode, especially when the water is stagnant and acidic, the lead will break down and leach into the water, contaminating it. So why is lead a problem? Well, let's look historically. By the 1920s, health officials noticed that high exposure to lead, like in gasoline and paint, had been linked to kidney damage, nervous system, and brain damage. Now, according to Health Canada, there is no safe level of exposure to lead. With drinking water, Health Canada set the maximum acceptable concentration of lead to 10 parts per billion back in the 1990s. More recently, in 2019, they cut that in half to 5 parts per billion. That's a super small number. A 2017 Health Canada report also showed that contaminated food and water were now the greatest sources of exposure to lead for adults. Municipalities long ago moved away from using lead in new water lines. However, most major Canadian cities with an older infrastructure are still having problems. In fact, a national study done in 2019 through 9 universities in Canada in collaboration with 10 media organizations, including Global News, discovered dangerous levels of lead in 39% of the homes they tested. I attached the Global News report here below for your reference. Some cities like Prince Rupert, Regina, and Montreal even had higher levels of lead than the infamous Flint, Michigan lead poisoning tragedy that resulted in 12 deaths, lots of sickness, and certain public servants and health officials being criminally prosecuted. Realtors are also required to take appropriate steps to discover and alert their clients of any health or environmental concerns of a property that can be considered a material latent defect. This means when we are acting for sellers, we must help our clients disclose any potential latent defect related to the water quality and piping. And where the seller is unsure of their disclosure requirements, we must recommend to our clients to seek legal advice. When we're acting for buyers, we as realtors should be aware that lead in water is not specifically asked about on the property disclosure statement. However, if the home was built in the 1980s or earlier, there's an increased risk of a latent defect due to a high lead concentration. In these cases, we should be asking the listing agent and seller about the existence or their knowledge of the existence of lead pipes in the property. And buyers should also be advised to include conditions on the purchase contract to perform reasonable inspections for lead in the pipes and or water quality tests, especially again for older homes and acreage properties. I hope you found this information helpful. and it encourages you to make your home healthier. I love living, learning, and sharing this kind of knowledge with my clients. If you would like to learn more about the health of your home or your next home, reach out to me. Let's talk.